She gone. Hey guys, it's almost up to freezing. Let's go change the compressor. Got I think it's a 2013 or 2014 Goodman. I stopped by and checked it on my way home the other night. Homeowner said it kicked the breaker in the main panel. The first thing I went to was the compressor. I was getting real high ohms across the run part of the winding. So I went in and pulled the plug off to make sure it wasn't just a bad wire, but it was actually the compressor. So we got bad windings in it. Got one of the little acid tests and checked to see if the refrigerant, see if it burned out, but it had no acid. So I checked the warranty on it. It has been registered. They gave me a compressor, a liquid line dryer, and a cord. The cord looked a little burnt, probably where it was trying to start with those high amps. The thing I always hate about Goodman's is the little dryer is always on the inside down there next to the liquid line valve and the high pressure switch. And it usually takes longer to take that dryer out and either replace it or move it outside than it does to do the compressors. But in this case, that unit had a compressor put in it within about a month of them turning it on. Apparently had a leak and all the refrigerant leaked out. It had a leak around the shell and the suction board. So the dryer's already been moved outside, which is a good thing, and they did take the internal dryer out, so that was nice. Okay guys, she's hooked up and ready to recover. So we've got that crankcase heater loose. Once I get the compressor unhooked, I can slip it over it, I believe, without having to unwire it. It's about too tall to get into. Little Craftsman screw holder from Lowe's. It just expands out, makes it pretty deep. If I would have thought about how cold it was going to get, I could have unplugged the compressor and left the disconnect in, which would have left the crankcase heater on and helped me out some. So I'm going to light my torch and just kind of warm up the area down there in the bottom. Tighten my nuts up, I keep getting the bump there. Now you always want to be careful when you fix a unit that needs a compressor, because if the compressor's not running when you get there, you don't know what else might be wrong. There could have been something else that caused the compressor to go bad. And if one is not under warranty and you know it's got some years on it, you need to really warn the people that, hey, I put this compressor in, you know, you may have another issue that we don't know about until we can get the compressor in and get it running. This one looks like it's going to be low on refrigerant based on what's come out of it so far. And when, I hope that shows up on camera, when I look at that terminal down there on the compressor, I mean, it's burnt pretty bad around. It's actually got a piece of metal fused to the actual terminal itself. There's a possibility that got warm enough to break that seal and let some refrigerant leak out there. Everybody that's ever messed with one of these has had the pin actually pop all the way out before. So I won't know until I pressure test and pull a vacuum at this point. But had this been a, you know, if they were paying full price for the compressor and all the other parts, and you do all this work and then find out the indoor coil's leaking, or they have to spend another bunch of money on it, you know, they would have been better off with a new system had it not been under warranty. I'd say we was about 4 pounds light in what I've got going on right now. See if I can turn this thing. How do I do that? There we go. I got my nitrogen tank on it, got it set to purge. So I'm just putting a lot of nitrogen through it right now and blowing it out the other end. I'm putting it in the actual suction port right here. So it's going, depending on how the reversion valve is, which is probably heat, it's going, you know, back toward the indoor coil and so forth. But it's also going through this compressor. Now, I've probably got room to cut this 1/2 inch line one more time and still get it back together. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off. Once I've got it out of there, I'll still be putting nitrogen. I may move back and put it in the service valve. I'm trying to think if that'll work or not. I'll probably just keep putting nitrogen right there and unsweat this big one because it's getting so close to this port for the suction. I really don't want to cut it off. Besides, there's some solder right here, so I'd have to cut it back pretty far. So I'm gonna grab my little cutters and cut this one off right here. Let's see where the solder is on the bottom here so I can leave as much pop as I possibly can without causing me trouble when I rotate. And I've got some 1/2 inch copper on the truck if I needed to extend this, but I think we can get it over there still yet. So we'll get that out of the way over this way. And again, I'll actually sweat this one out. If you do this at home, try not to breathe it. Well, actually, you probably shouldn't do this at home. $800 number. I'm sure they're wanting to sell me Service Titan. They must have got a better offer. This is our new pack of hardware. Our bolts have shoulders on them, so we won't use the actual sleeves. We'll just use the rubbers here. Don't forget to put these rubbers on before you set it down in here. Otherwise, you have to go get somebody to hold your feet while you lean over and put them in. Guess I could turn my nitrogen off now, no point in wasting it. See. We'll get that in there, no problem. It'll sink back into there. But next time, if there is a next time, we'll have to add on to this guy. And then hopefully this one's just going to push right back in. So I guess what I'll try to do is get the line started into their hose, and then go ahead and braze these two, and then we'll do that dryer outside last. Try to get her a little bit of tension on her so she'll stay in there by herself when you go to sweating. Oh, it went right back to the original line. I like it when that happens. Try to push the compressor over, keep some tension on it. Then we can pull it back after we solder it. Let's see. We're still going in on the suction side, but I need to pull out a valve core. Go ahead and pull both of them out right quick. Now, I can't really think of a good reason to sweat a dryer out. I have had on some of these internal dryers, if they're really close to a pressure switch or something, I have actually cut them off with the tube and cutter back here against the dryer, and then heated up what was left and slipped it off after the fact. But that dryer is going to be full of stuff, contaminants and whatnot, that you're going to let out if you get it really warm. So the best thing to do is just cut them out. And sometimes the pipe has enough slack in it, you can, depending on what size dryer you got to go back with, you can just put it right back in. Other times you have to make you up a little short piece, swedge it up on one end. But either way, it's better than torching it out. There's a pretty good bubble of solder down here. I'm going to have to cut this off way down here. So we get right up against that guy. Make it as long as we can. There we go. side's free. This side, ain't got really no bubble here. I guess it was downhill. I would say that the new dryer is probably the same thing. It's a Goodman dryer that's just been packaged into a different box, but might be a little smaller. Oh well, yeah, that was an 8 and this is a 5. Oh well. I'll have to make me up a piece right here, I think. There's a little bit of slack on this thing, but I don't know. Well, maybe not. That'll probably work. Let me ream these out first though. Guess I ought to feel lucky it's a bi-flow dryer they gave me, huh? All right, I gotta run up to the truck. I don't have any wet rags here with me. Oh. I don't think I would burn the place down. It's pretty wet, but we'll just try to be on the safe side. Something like that under it. Try to keep the dryer body cool. It'll pull a lot of the heat up into this rag instead of going to the internals. And make sure we don't get our service valve hot down here. I think we'll be fine on this backside. It's about 1.5 feet to the house. Get our nitrogen back on. It looks full, so what we'll do is get it cooled off and I guess go ahead and get a pressure test on it while we're trying to do some electrical. I'll set you back up top. Got a genuine Copeland replacement plug here. I put 239 pounds on it. The low side says 240 is the max. That's to keep you from over pressurizing things like that accumulator in the compressor tank. They don't want you making a bomb out of it. So I'll set you up here and we'll try to get this thing plugged in and get some of these wires and the compressor bolts put in while we wait on the pressure test. going to be tempting to put that crankcase heater way up so you can reach it, but that's not going to do the oil any good. Get it down near the bottom. Okay, the battery died, and what I was doing was putting in, or getting ready to put in, the bolts that holds the compressor down. I made the comment, need to put at least 2 of them in anytime you do something like this, because when that thing's running and you get a rain or something, that bottom gets wet, it'll walk around everywhere in there. And of course, if it had one in it, it could still twist. But got those back in lined up, and I put the plug on, the new wire in the plug. So that's all you missed. I've got you back on now. Well, looks like we passed our 10-minute pressure test. I'm gonna go ahead and get the vacuum equipment and get it down here and hooked up, and because like I say, it's gonna have to run for a while. Look at that icy accumulator still yet after all this time. I hate doing jobs like this when it's cold outside. Now, I'm not usually the type to use 2 hoses on one, but I think on this one I'm going to make an exception, because that accumulator is still just frozen up. I don't think I'm even going to put a gauge on it until it runs for a while, maybe start stalling it out. But the distributors around here is getting pretty serious about making you always have these things sealed up good before you bring them back. I guess they get tired of getting oil all over their showroom and warehouse. So this case, I'd cut this one off. I just crimped it down a little bit, and then over here I had to actually take a short piece. Usually, you know, when you're fitting a new system up, I don't know, I always try to cut it a little long and then end up trimming it back some. So I had a piece this long laying in the solder kit over there, so it worked out good. I can just stick it in here, squeeze it down, and braze it in, and then I can unbox this puppy up and be ready to take back. Get a good look up in there. You can kind of see how this little black stuff splattered out from that terminal that looks burnt. Okay, I went ahead and swapped out the run capacitor and the contactor. It's a little burnt in there. I guess trying to start with those heavy amps would do that. I was going to take you back in there with me, but it's noisy and it's not much room. So I broke it with nitrogen one time. The accumulator is since thawed out, so hopefully I won't have to be here all night waiting on that vacuum. But that's what I hate about compressor change-outs. You wind up with every tool on your truck down here around the unit. The truck's up the hill there. Hey guys, I'm going to do an oil change right quick. This thing's probably done I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 new installs. Of course, new installs are usually clean and nothing really seems to get in the oil, but I figure since this is going to take a while to do, the oil should be good and warm now. I can drain it out right quick. Get my new one here. Seemed like a gimmick when I bought this thing to buy the oil already in these little pre-measured things. But no more than I change it. It's actually a good deal, because it just doesn't take long at all to. Well, I'm going to turn it back on after I quit talking to you. I was just going to show you that you got a place to store the cap on the end of the empty. I can pull the dirty oil out here. Put my empty in there for later. And got the old oil sealed up here. So I'm going to kick her back on and keep on vacuuming. I usually fill out the little orange tag that comes with them, and then give them all the components back in the same box, just in case they don't think I changed something. Well, guys, it's getting late out here, and this thing is still climbing on me. It ain't pulling, it's pulling down, but it's just, there's still a lot of stuff gassing off in there, or I've got a leak, but everything's cutting off on me. But at any rate, I'm going to probably just go ahead and put nitrogen on it for tonight and leave it. Maybe it'll help gas some of that stuff out of the oil, and then I'll head back out here tomorrow and try it again. Now my battery's dying on my light, so I'm gonna pack it up and get out of here. I'll bring you back with me. Well, next morning I stopped and put the vacuum pump on it and ran and got some equipment. Came back by to check it. Started snowing while I was gone, so I took my vacuum gauge off and brought it up here with me. I'm gonna leave the thing around a while and deliver this equipment to my shop. I sure hope that vacuum's holding when I get back there, because if it's not, that thing's just going to get nitrogen put on it until a better day. Well, of course it didn't hold, so I unhooked my vacuum pump, put some tracer gas in it, put some nitrogen on it, and went and had pizza. Came back the next afternoon, found a leak here in the end of the coil. My GoPro camera messed up and did that super high speed thing again. So I tried to get you slowed down here about 10 times and did a voiceover to show you that I found it with my H10. Finally got it to even do a little bubble off about 250 psi. So it was a nice afternoon, cold but clear. So we got going on it and started trying to pull a vacuum again. Okay, we got the vacuum running. Put the top back on it. I'm that confident. I'm going to run up to the house for a little bit. It's cold out here and my battery says 11%, so I'm going to charge it up. We finally got her down there. She's been off for about 10 minutes and she's climbed up to around 500. I had it down to about the 300 range. I brought all these gauges down when I was pressure testing earlier, so I've still got all my tools out here. I brought the scales and the refrigerant down. I just brought a new bottle. I'm gonna see if I can dump 15 pounds in it right quick. Okay, I just heard the contactor pull in. We've got a little over, well, about 10.5 pounds in it right now. I just undid the condenser fan, got the homeowner to put it on to AC. And we have ignition. See if we can suck the rest of this in there. Very good light, isn't it? That's 11 pounds. We'll put about 3 or 4 more pounds in her and I'll turn you back on. Going out and 73 coming back in. £14, 10 ounces. I think I'm going to leave her right there. I had the reversing valve unhooked. I had them turn it on to AC, and once I got it weighed in, I just undid this instead of calling them back, letting it run in heat. Should be warming them up good. I'm going to call that good. I'm going to call in there and tell them to switch it over to regular heat, and I'll put that reversing valve back together. get my gauges off, put the lid on, and call it a night.